RBT Fam, what is the deal? It's your dog Willie Jack, and we are back. Back, baby! Back with more NFL action. How's everybody doing? How you feeling? Talk to me now. How you doing? How you feeling? I tell you what, I'm feeling good, feeling great. I'm feeling good and feeling great. Let me tell you why. Since you asked, why am I in such a great mood? Monday night was a fantastic night for your boy, man. Monday night was fantastic. Monday night was all time. All time, man. You want to talk about highs and lows, right? You want to talk about peaks and valleys, man. You want to talk about darkest days before you get to the brightness, man. I don't know what else to tell you. All right, fantastic. So today is definitely a big victory Wednesday for your dog, man. Come on, man. Today is definitely a big victory Wednesday for your dog. Yeah. We got a lot to talk about today, man. Matter of fact, I see a lot of y'all in here early, too, man. Go ahead and drop some in the chat. Say what's up to your dog. Y'all know we got a lot to talk about today. For sure. Man, let me see. Making sure we live and in full effect. There we go. Yeah, there we go. How's everybody doing? Let me see who in the building. Let me see. Okay. Hey, man. Cat Mother ship in this thing, man. Shout out to my dog, Keandre, man. First one in the building, man. Since the season finale is live and we lit, man. Hey, that bone in boxer. Hey, man, I'm telling you, dog. Man. And you know what? It's hard to squeeze in that third. Show us what it is, bruh. It's hard to squeeze in that third one, man. It really is. And that's what really be the problem. But good news is, though, Keandre, bruh, now that the playoffs are starting and whoop-de-whoop, like there's a lot less football for me to be watching, studying, and note-taking, and you know what I mean? So it should give some more time because, man, we way past overdue. You know what I mean? Like, we've been overdue. You know what I mean? Like, we way past that. So the good thing about this time of year for sure, you know what I'm saying, the tournament started. My boys is in. That's always great. You know what I mean? But also, I'm not gonna lie, man, the grind does ease up just a little bit for your dog, man. I ain't gonna hold you, man. And so, yeah, we gonna sooner rather than later, we definitely gonna do that some justice, dog, for sure. For sure, you right. Let's see, my Duke's in the building. Say good evening, Big Nation family. Happy Wednesday. Let's go. Here you go. Lucked up and beat the Ravens. They lucked up and had a chance to even be in consideration. They lucked up and had a chance to be in the business. They lucked up and had a chance themselves. They wasn't nothing special. For sure. Chiefs couldn't be the worst team in the NFL. Oh no, they season over. You let them go ahead and rest on up. Who's that? J2 Trill in the building, man. What's going on, big dog? Yeah. It's fresh, ain't it? Hey, your boy Fly, ain't he? Yeah, man. Go ahead, man. I'll get you one. Man, I'll get you one, man. I got you. Shout out to my dog, J2 Trill, man. Shout out to my dog. Matter of fact, I seen y'all went ahead and fired Eberflus, right? Overdue. Talking about things overdue. Y'all finally fired Eberflus. Y'all messed up. Y'all let Al Harris out the building. That's where y'all messed up at. Now, here's a question for you, J2 Trill. Are y'all going to Chicago? Y'all gonna have, now, matter of fact, y'all can't, Jerry got to fly private to Chicago. He got to personally apologize to Al Harris for tripping, for playing with him like that. And then you better beg him to get back on that private plane back to Dallas. That's what y'all need to be doing. Because I don't know what Eberflus had going on, big dog. Yeah, man. Let's see. Rennie in the building. Hello, RBT family. Happy New Year's. Yeah, for sure. Happy New Year's, everybody. Happy New Year's. J2 Chill said he finna get Bree Flores. Man, why Brian Flores? That's just a lateral move, though. He already a DC. Like, if Brian Flores leave, he got to be leaving for a bump, not just to stay the same. Because if anything, like, yeah, I don't know if he want to leave from one D coordinator job just to take another D coordinator job. You know what I'm saying? Because he got a good thing going in Minnesota. You know what I mean? Like, that Minnesota defense is nasty. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't have the offense to kind of balance it out, and You know what I mean? They had all the pressure on them, like what, 14 out of 17 games this year. You know what I'm saying? With the way the offense was looking, JJ McCarthy, but nah, it don't make no sense to go from DC to DC just in Dallas instead of Minnesota. And then also, I mean, I don't know if it even be worth it, like for the money bump. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Brian Flores need to be somebody's head coach next season. That's what he waiting on. That's what I'm waiting on too. I can't wait for Brian Flores to get one of these head coaching jobs, man. Anywhere but Baltimore. That's the only thing. Anywhere but Baltimore, B-Flow, go do your thing, big dog. But nah, he gonna be a head coach somewhere. He ain't moving just to be a DC no more. My dog J2 Trill. He already tried it in Miami. The Miami stuff did get a little wonky, and there was a lot going on because, like, he wasn't trying to. The owner, you know what I'm saying, was trying to get him to skirt the NFL rules or flat out break the NFL rules. They wanted him talking off book with Tom Brady when Tom was leaving New England, and so they wanted him to reach out and try to woo Tom. They wanted to set up some type of yacht meeting with him and Tom on the owner's yacht. That was against the rules. It was like, there was a whole bunch of stuff going on. They tried to force him to tank, you know what I mean? Tank for Tua and all of that. And then, of course, he wasn't a fan of Tua as the quarterback. So that Miami situation it had a lot going wrong. Now, here's the thing. We forget about that Miami situation as well. Because I want to say that last year, it was either that last year or the last year they were decent. They had started like 1-6, 1-7. No, maybe not that bad. They started like 1-5 or something like that. And then I think they end up winning. Like they went on like a winning streak and salvaged that season. I want to say he got that Dolphins team after the terrible start with everything that was going on behind the scenes. And then I want to say they maybe salvaged and they went on some type of run, man. It's been a while now, and we just talked about it on the spot. But if I remember right, I want to say at one point in that season, they was like 1-5, and they may have finished like 9-8, right? Something like that. They went on like a hell of a run or a comeback, and I think that's definitely got to be a credit to B-Flow for sure. But nah, Brian Flores is a hell of a coach, man. You know what I mean? Or it just, in my opinion, like I definitely think, man, I'm looking around the league. There's a lot of places that could use like what he brings. Right? So he's got a difference-making defense, for one. Because you can be like a solid defense, a good defense, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're a difference-making defense. You know what I mean? Like his defense is truly like when Cam Newton talks about game managers and game changers, right? So a lot of defenses, most defenses, honestly, in the NFL are game management style defenses. My defense included. We're not a game-changing defense. Not at this point, not anymore. We have been for years, but we're not at this point, right? And so we're not a game-changing defense. Brian Flores has a game-changing style of defense. And so even with that, we've seen what he's done with that defense in Minnesota, beating far superior teams or teams just in better standing than their own, right? Helping to carry JJ McCarthy in the offense to victories over the Packers, the Lions, competitive with. See, hold on, man. I know this. Look here. Hold on. Now, everybody know Wednesdays at 7 o'clock is showtime. Here we got terrible time calling me, knowing I'm on the show, I'm handling business. Terrible time. I tell you what you do, Tom. You get your ass in here on this show. Oh, yeah, definitely you, Tom, and them funky Texans. Tom, you get your ass in this show, boy. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Calling my phone at showtime. But no, Brian Flores is a game-changing defense. Look at it right now. Look at the defenses in the league right now that we would consider game-changing, right? The Texans, right? The Seahawks. Honestly, I don't necessarily even want to call the Browns defense game-changing. They just got a transcendent player in Myles Garrett. But that defense as a whole, they can be a little hit and miss. And then even with the transcendence of Myles Garrett, in the 23 sacks, kudos. We'll talk about it, right? He may have been spotted 1 or 2. It's all good. It is what it is. But even with all that, I mean, there's plenty of games in which, he's got some of those sacks in games they down 2 scores. You see what I'm saying? But a truly dynamic, game-changing defense, Seattle, the Texans, those 2 are the ones that jump to mind for sure. Like those, that's worth 2 wins itself. You know what I'm saying? And then also the type of impact he has on an organization, like structurally. You know what I mean? Like regimented, discipline. You know what I mean? So like those are things that, like, looking at Miami now, like they have that crazy electric style of like offensive potential. It doesn't always show up. Shout out to Tua, tag your mama. You know what I mean? It doesn't always show up. But one thing that we can all agree on is that that's a team in which it's the Wild West, man. There's no discipline or there's no discipline or structure in that locker room, right? In Tennessee to start the year, that's one thing even the players have been asking for. Is like, nah, man, we gotta have somebody here who can set this table. You know what I'm saying? Like all of that. And so Brian Flores, man, I think he's a fantastic candidate for sure. And I don't think the job he did in Miami works against him. Now, maybe the relationships or bridges that he burnt in that building, right? Maybe the references out of Miami weren't great. But as far as just what he has to offer as a candidate himself, man, I'm hard-pressed to think of a better candidate. I'm hard-pressed to think of one. I hope he don't go to Baltimore. That's what I'm worried about. You know what I mean? Like Baltimore is one of those places that seems like the perfect fit for a guy like Flores. A team that wants to be physical, that wants to dominate through defense, right? And then even offensively, they want to have a physical, imposing, like personality and brand of football. You know what I mean? And so a place like Dallas makes sense for Brian Flores. Honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing him with the Giants, but see, they already played him 2 years ago. One of the Giants were the culprit in his lawsuit because they broke the Rooney Rule. They scheduled an interview for him just to check the box. Meanwhile, they had already made the decision to hire Brian Daboll. They had even leaked that information. So when Bill Belichick got a call from somebody with the Giants, they said, yeah, man, we're hiring Brian. Bill Belichick texts Brian Flores, like, hey, man, congrats, I heard you got the Giants job. Brian Flores, like, got the Giants job? Man, I don't interview until tomorrow. What you mean? And then, of course, the cat got out the bag because Brian Daboll had just interviewed like that day before. So they had hired Brian, so there was a lot of stuff going on. And so the Giants are obviously out, but that would have been a good spot for him as well because the Giants probably had the most underachieving defense in football. Now that we talk about it, they got Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence is the best nose tackle in football by a wide margin. No, you know what? No. I'm not going to say by a wide margin because Derrick Brown is the truth in Carolina, especially like when he's healthy. But Derrick Brown is a top 2. He's a top 2, 3, 4 defensive tackle in the league for sure. Brian Burns is an absolute stud, right? He finished second in sacks in the league. He finished second in sacks behind Myles Garrett. And then you had Kayshon Thibodeau, who's still a talented guy. You drafted Abdul Carter, right? Supreme talent, right? So you see what you build there. There's a lot of pieces in that New York Giants defense that, man, Brian Flores got his hands on that defense in New York. And man, look, they might start looking like the 86 Giants, 87, 88, 89 Giants, the 90, 91 Giants style defense. Brian Flores got his hands on that, but they already, that's a no-go just from the history that they got. You know what I mean? But no, Brian Flores is gonna be a godsend for somebody's team for sure. Let me see. Ooh, J2 True said if he don't go to the Cowboys, you can see him going to Tampa Bay. If we're still talking about Flores, well, honestly, Todd Bowles, and I'm not cheering for nobody to lose their job at all. I felt like I was a little surprised that Todd Bowles didn't get the axe, right? But I think the Buccaneers ended up deciding to keep him. And honestly, in fairness to Todd Bowles, outside of this year, they've won that division, I think, 3 years out of the last 4. And so, I think that bought him this next year. But I definitely think like he's going into this season, this upcoming season, he'll be going into it definitively I mean, this is it. This is his last shot at the free throw line. You know what I mean? Like they gave him this one. They let him run this one back because he could, when he got in that office and had those. And matter of fact, I think he said it in an interview at a press conference when they asked him about whether or not he thinks he's going to be back. And I think he flat out said, he said, look, man, I won this division the last 3 years. Like, yeah, this year didn't go how we wanted it to, but that doesn't erase the body of work that I've done here. I've won this division 3 out of the last 4 years. And so now that, you know, things didn't go our way, do we just throw me away? You know, so I think that was a valid point by him. And kudos to him for saying that publicly as well. You know what I mean? But if Ty Bowles if that position was open, then yeah, I think for sure. Because that Tampa Bay defense also, man, got real leaky down the stretch. It really did. Now, also, some key parts of that defense are a little older. Levante David, stud. You know what I mean? He's probably played his last game, but at points, at different points, man, you know, he was able to be exposed as well a little bit. And so, but shout out to my dog J2 Trio. Oh, here he is. Yeah, man, I was just telling him about, I was like, man, this boy Tom gonna call my phone like he don't know what time it is. You better bring your ass here, boy. Yeah, how you doing? Yeah. Texas to the Super Bowl, your ass. I tell you what, boy, I got y'all on the first thing smoking the Cancun, boy. Y'all on the first thing smoking the Cancun. Yes, sir. Oh, the Broncos defense. And you know what? I was up here just talking. You caught me off guard. I didn't know we was going here. But no, shout out to the Broncos defense. And you know what? Do we want to say the Broncos defense is game-changing? Honestly, I don't necessarily consider the Broncos as just truly dominant as I feel like the Seahawks and the Texans defense is, if I'm being truthful. And they have a fantastic player in Patrick Surtain, reigning defensive player of the year, right? So they've got a fantastic guy there in that building. They've got very talented edge rushers. I was a big Nick Bonito guy when he was getting drafted out of Oklahoma. Nick Bonito is also a very under the radar pass rushing stud. Like, I think he finished 3rd in the league in sacks, I want to say. I think Myles Garrett, of course, with the record, he's number 1. Brian Burns was 2. And if I'm not mistaken, Danielle Hunter was 3. Danielle Hunter's been criminally underrated his whole career as well. I never understood why Minnesota let Danielle Hunter out their building, honestly. And then even now with the Texans, I think he had 15 sacks this year. And then I think Nick Bonito is right behind him. So Nick Bonito is a top 5 pass rusher for sure. The other opposite edge rusher there, Jonathan Cooper, he's also a stud. He's a very nice compliment to what they got right there with Nick Bonito, that D-line. Who's old boy on that D-line that's pretty nice as well? Zach Allen, I want to say, he's a nice, he's a nice Draymond. You know what I mean? Like, not flashy, but he's the glue guy in those trenches, right? That really does a lot of work. They brought over Tyler Noah, who found you, from the Niners, right? So they brought him over there as well. And then Drake Greenlaw went over there also. But I think Drake Greenlaw was beat up again this season. But honestly, that Broncos defense is not to be trifled with at all. I'm not downplaying it, but I do think that if we're talking about truly game-changing defenses that I feel just can really just take over games, then honestly, the Seahawks and the Texans are the two that come to mind. I think the Seahawks and the Texans are the two that really come to mind. I'm trying to think some more. It feels like I am missing somebody else, maybe. But those are the two that come to mind. Let me see what this boy Terrible Time had to say. When did D'Amico sue the Texans? Hey man, Tom, tell me that story. I don't remember hearing about this. I don't remember hearing about that, bro. When did D'Amico sue the Texans? I don't remember that at all. What's that backstory? D'Amico sued the Texans. If Lovey didn't sue the Texans, how did D'Amico sue the Texans? I'm confused. But no, tell me that backstory, bro. Remind me. Maybe I'm forgetting about that. Maybe I'm forgetting about it. He said they was trying to get the Broncos defensive nickname. This version? Because they was the no-fly zone back in their heyday. Like back in when Peyton was there in that early 2010s run, where it was Akeem Talib and Chris Harris, Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware. You know what I mean? Like they was the no-fly zone back then. And honestly, this version of their defense isn't better than that version. You know what I mean? Like they not at that level. That no-fly zone defense back in the 2010s, but this version, no, I ain't. Or yeah, maybe that's what it is. They trying to get a nickname because I don't think they got one. You said 17 sacks. I thought they had 15 sacks. Because I thought he finished third in the sack race behind Myles Garrett and Brian Burns. I thought he had 15 sacks. Because I think Brian Burns only beat him by half a sack. I think Brian Burns had 15 and a half sacks and Danielle Hunter had 15. And then I want to say Nick Benito had either 13 and a half or 14 and a half. Because they was all kind of, behind Myles Garrett, they were all stacked in there pretty good. But I thought it was 15 because Brian Burns with the Giants finished second, and he had 15 and a half, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's crazy. He's only been to one Pro Bowl, bro. I believe Danielle Hunter's only made one Pro Bowl. That's crazy, dog. Like I said, yeah, I've been a big fan of him. I never understood why the Vikings let him out that building. The Vikings, let him out the building, and then they brought in Andrew Van Ginkel. They drafted Dallas Turner, and then and somebody else they brought, the other edge. They brought in two edges and drafted Dallas Turner. Alex Van Ginkel has been great in that Brian Flores defense. And you know what? Maybe that's what it is. Because I do think Danielle Hunter, he's a pure rusher. And so that Brian Flores defense is a lot more versatile. And so that's why, like Andrew Van Ginkel, he's not the level of pass rusher as Danielle Hunter at all. But for the purposes of being in Brian Flores' defense, right, he's that versatile kind of chess piece that he operates or functions better in that defense. And so honestly, yeah, now that we talked it out, shout out to my dog Tom, maybe that's why they went ahead and moved on from Danielle Hunter, just to get a better scheme fit in Van Ginkel, Dallas Turner, and then, damn, I don't know why I can't think of the other edge on the other side of Van Ginkel. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. But yet still, for my money, I think Danielle Hunter's in the Hunter Sack Club, dog. Like, that's a guy I want in my building. Scheme be damn. If we can't find a place for Danielle Hunter, then we got a problem with the scheme, is how I feel. You know what I'm saying? So he's a guy that I would want in my building just personally. But as far as just the way that scheme and that defense works, I mean, I guess I could understand the rationale that they use. And then also, Brian Flores calling his own shot, so to say, and you know, saying like, hey, man, you know, we can go ahead and move him and give me these guys. And it worked out, though, because that Vikings defense is special. You know what I mean? It is. He sued him. Oh, man, okay, I thought you were talking about his coaching. That's water under the bridge, man. Yeah. Did he get any money? Did he win? Now think about this, though, as well, Tom. Let's talk about the different context. Brian Flores was a head coach who sued them for discriminatory hiring practices versus a player who was injured. And, you know, so I think also, like, and then also DeMeco Ryans, because I think he and I was a huge DeMeco Ryans fan when I'm not gonna lie, Tom. I've been a low-key Texans fan. Well, I ain't gonna say the whole organization, but I've always been a fan of like that team and that defense specifically. I was a big DeMeco Ryans fan, dog, when he was coming out of Alabama. I was definitely a huge J.J. Watt fan. You already know how I'm rocking. I was a huge Andre Johnson fan. You know what I'm saying? Andre Johnson, one of my favorite receivers of all time. You know what I mean? So I've honestly been I've been for lack of a better word, say I've been a pseudo fan of the Texans for sure. Like, yeah, I was a big man. I ain't gonna lie, him and Cushion was a nasty duo, bro. DeMeco Ryans and Brian Cushion. Brian Cushion on the juice next to DeMeco Ryans. Boy, let me tell you something. Hey, look here, man. Man, look. I don't even know if y'all old enough to remember 2010s Texans defense. And then when JJ got in that building, boy, y'all better quit playing. Antonio Smith on that defensive line too, his crazy ass. Boy, y'all better quit playing. Y'all better quit playing, man. Yeah, man. Now, I ain't gonna lie. I do like DeMeco. And I'm happy for him too, man. Got a chance to go back and coach his own team and being successful doing it. 3 years, three 3 years that he's been the coach for his whole team, 2 division titles, the playoffs 3 straight years. You know what I mean? So that's a fantastic story. Let's see, Sis in the building. Hey, talk about it. Talk about it. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, the Orange Crush. Man, they used to be they was the Orange Crush, and like that's the old nickname they had in the man, they had that nickname in the 70s. Back when it was Tom Jackson was their linebacker. Tom Jackson used to be on ESPN with Boomer Esiason, I want to say. Is it Boomer Esiason? And Chris Morton, because they called him like Tiny Tom Jackson or something like that. He was like 5'9", but he was he was a thumper though now. But I think that's what they called that, like that 70s Broncos defense. 70s or 80s. It might have been 80s, forgive me. Let's say that 80s Broncos defense. Grenard, there we go, Tom. Jonathan Grenard, for sure. Yeah, Jonathan Grenard. There we go. Appreciate you. No, they drafted Dallas Turner, but the free agents they brought in, or the players they brought in to replace Daniil Hunter, was Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel. And then they drafted Dallas Turner. Yeah, for sure. Oh, man, hey, look, I appreciate you. And matter of fact, man, the captain in the building. Man, hold on, man. The captain in the building. Yeah, man, hey, I appreciate them comments on the board. Let's go. Yeah, my fault. Yeah, I appreciate you. For sure. But yeah, man, I'm going to tell you right now. Y'all know why we here. Let me get myself together, man. Y'all know why we are here, right? Let's go ahead and talk about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm fired up. You know what I'm saying? I'm in my Steelers regalia. You feel me? So let's go ahead and talk about it, man. Let's talk about the best game. This may be the best game to end the season that we've had in living in recent memory, man. Because the thing about Week 18 is that 90% of the league their season's already over by the time we get here. So it's not often that we have like a Week 18 game that can offer, you know what I'm saying, that can offer the level of steel that's just worth anything. Because like, I think 80% of all the teams, I know I just said 90, but realistically, I want to say like of the 90% of teams that their season was already essentially concluded prior to this last week. And then of those teams, I think I'm not even going to use no percentage, but an overwhelming majority of those they didn't dress their starters, or key players were missing, right? The Chargers, they sent the B team to Denver in Week 18 and kind of conceded that number 1 spot to Denver. You know what I mean? For better or for worse, we'll see. Now, also in their mind, I mean, I guess I can see because Justin Herbert's been beat up all year long. You know what I mean? And Denver still, they had something to play for, so they was going to be out there gunning, right? And so I can see, like, I guess there's a part of me that can maybe still understand why they did what they did. But Josh Allen in Buffalo. Josh Allen took one snap to maintain his starter streak going, and then he came out the game in that last week's game, right? Even Dak Prescott, shout out to J2 Trill. Dak Prescott didn't finish that Giants game. Now y'all was in there getting rolled up on. You know what I mean? Giants came out there. They came out there with something on their mind, and then they went ahead and pulled the plug like, yeah, don't even worry about it. Dak, go ahead and sit it on down, big dog. We'll let Joe Milton get some run. You know what I mean? So most of the games Sunday were a step above preseason in a lot of instances, right? And so the game on Monday night was it was still live bullets. It was still live bullets. There was no headgear. You know what I mean? It wasn't sparring. You know what I mean? It was live bullets. It was a championship fight, a heavyweight championship fight. And so, and also, man, it offered the best things about like exciting matchups that we like to see, right? So to start that game, it started out and it was physical. It was low scoring to start. I think at halftime it was 10-3, right? which is typical for Steelers Ravens games for the most part anyway. And so we got that close, gritty, every snap counts kind of feel, right? The moment was heavy, like, you know what I mean? So we got to experience that. And then in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter, right? Then we also got the excitement of the back and forth slugfest, trading touchdowns one way or the other, right? And then even in addition to that, then we got the dramatic highs and lows, right? So my Steelers, we get the dramatic high of the touchdown to Calvin Austin to take the lead. And then we get the dramatic low of Chris Boswell. He actually got that extra point blocked. And so in the moment, and then that night, we thought he missed the extra point, but then I guess they went back and corrected that he actually got it blocked. And then I saw the replay of it as well. And then they corrected it in the stat sheet as well. So it's a block as opposed to just a pure miss, which makes sense, man, because Bos don't miss those, man. And so that makes sense. But so we got the blocked extra point that even makes Baltimore's chance to go down and get that 3 even possible. And then, of course, we still get the excitement of Baltimore on fourth down, right? It's fourth and 7. We miss 2 guys miss a sack on Lamar. He steps up. He throws a pass that also should have been intercepted. There was three easy opportunities for that play to have been dead before it started. Keanu Benton missed a sack. Alex Highsmith had his hands on his waist, missed the sack. Lamar steps up, throws a ball to Isaiah Likely, right? Jalen Ramsey, it's a give me. It's a give me. And then also Jalen Ramsey, he is honestly, he really messed it. He really played himself. Because he ain't gonna lie, he went for the highlight. It's just like when, like in boxing or in basketball, you know, you might go for the highlight and pass. So you might pass up, you pass up that layup and go for the highlight dunk, and then you bounce it. You know what I'm saying? Then you hang it. You catch all rim. You know what I'm saying? You just could have went up there and stuffed it. Instead, you won the 360 windmill. That's what happened to Jalen Ramsey. He could have went up there and just boom, punched it. But instead, he wanted to put a little sauce on it. He wanted to go behind the back and between both legs. And he got hung. You know what I mean? And so Isaiah Likely gets that catch and gets the stop. And so, man, there was just traumatic highs and lows in the game, dog. And then, of course, even after that, we get another big wave of emotion when Tyler Loop misses the kick, man, wide right. And so, man, it was so much going on in that game, dog. It was fantastic. It really was. And especially because the good guys came out on top. You feel me? And then also, man, when I was watching that game, you know what's crazy? It didn't hit me until like that next day. I think my score that I had predicted when we were on the show on Sunday, I want to say, yeah, I think the Sunday show, I think I called Pittsburgh 26-23. I don't know. Hey, y'all can check the footage. Y'all better check that beam footage, man. The prediction I had, your boy, I said 26-23 Pittsburgh. I'm just saying, I'm just going to let that marinate in your spirit. Let that marinate in your spirit, man. Let that marinate in your spirit. But yeah, no, fantastic game, man. Or not to say it was the best game or the cleanest game. Neither team played their best, cleanest ball. There were mistakes all around, but it didn't take away from the excitement of the game, though. You know what I mean? It definitely didn't. As far as the numbers, my dog, A-Rod, 294 passing yards, 1 touchdown. He had a little 20-yard rush in there, too, man. Y'all see A-Rod get on his horse a little bit. He broke the boys off for a good 20. Jaylen Warren had about 100 combined yards, 66 of those on the ground. Kenny G, another 60 yards receiving. He had the rushing touchdown as well. Calvin Austin had the game-winning receiving touchdown, would end up being the game-winning receiving touchdown for the Steelers as well. And then for the Ravens side, Lamar finished with 238 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Derrick Henry, 20 carries for 126 yards. Now, here's the thing about that as well. The first play of the game, man, is a 40-yard run by Derrick Henry. 40 yards out the gate. And then also, Derrick Henry, I want to say maybe in the second quarter, I think he also had a 20-yard run. So he had 20 carries for 120 yards, but half his yardage came on 2 carries. And then one of those being the very first carry of the game. And so the defense we really boxed him up, man, truthfully. 20 for 126 with 2 of his 20 carries accounting for 60 of the 126 yards. So y'all can do the quick math. That's 18 for 60 the rest of the day. 18 for 66. The man was boxed up. You know what I mean? Zay Flowers ended up turning into having a big day. He had 2 touchdowns on broken plays. It's all good. Broken coverages. 4 for 138 and 2 TDs. Tez Walker, I was surprised to see how much burn he was getting in that game last night. Because when Rashad Bateman was going to be out that game with the illness, I thought we'd see more D-Hop. Hold on, is my camera tripping? I thought we'd see more D-Hop in that game, especially with everything that's on the line. I thought maybe you want to experienced veteran out there, somebody who should be reliable, etc. Boom, boom, boom. But that wasn't the case, man. The only time I remember seeing D-Hop on the field was in the fourth quarter on one of those final drives where he's sitting at the first down. Lamar boots out to the left. D-Hop's naked right there for the first down. And Lamar throws the ball like 3 yards out of bounds ahead of him. And then Lamar, he tried to charge that to D-Hop. Like, no, keep going. Keep going. Why? I'm right here, cuz. Flip me the ball. You could have underhanded it to me. I don't turn up and run. I'm stationary. So I thought that was a miss on Lamar. And I don't know if anybody else has even talked about it because I put that on Lamar. Like, I'm standing there. You about to run out of bounds. Like, run upfield. On the replay, I ain't see you point to him to do nothing. You just, bro, that's a miss. That was a miss when I seen it. You know what I mean? But then he came right back off the field. And so it wasn't much D-Hop even in that game. They went with the rookie Tez Walker out of North Carolina, if I remember right. He was a speedster, vertical threat. He did get a touchdown in the game, 46 yards in the touchdown. And then, of course, we know about the field goal missed by rookie kicker Tyler Luke. But nah, man. Fantastic game. Rennie said she thought that run was 71 yards. No, man, thank God, no. If it was 70, it might have been a touchdown. It was 40, 41. Yeah, 41 right out the door. First play of the game. And then even that play, and then I made a short about it. Dog, I was so upset. I had to just break it down. I could tell you what happened wrong on the play. And shout out to my dog, TJ Watt. But TJ gave up that edge, man. My dog Tom here in the building. He knows what's going on, right? TJ attacks the fullback, Patrick Ricard. He's a big boy. He's a biggin. He's about 6 foot 320. He was a defensive lineman. They converted him to fullback. And that man is a monster, right? So it's essentially, I'm going to call it outside zone. For lack of a better word, I'm going to call it outside zone. Yeah, I'm just going to call it outside zone. It's outside zone to TJ's side. TJ comes and takes on the fullback Ricard, but he goes inside. So TJ attacks the inside shoulder of Patrick Ricard to football. But TJ, he's the in-man on the line of scrimmage. Generally speaking, as far as run fits go, generally, right? If you're an edge rusher, shout out to my dog Tom, man. Me and my dog Tom, we played on them trenches, baby. We was in them edges, baby. Come on, man. You keep that outside arm free. Your outside arm gotta be free. So you gotta attack the right shoulder, right? So he attacks the inside shoulder and he gets himself sealed. He made that big ass alley. And then of course, Duggar is flowing, the safety's flowing. You know, so like flow is interrupted because TJ's not forcing it back to the help. Right? Because we don't want to force him to the corner. And then he gets a runway to turn the corner and turn up before the safeties can get across. So honestly, that's on TJ. Flat out, man. It was a bad run fit. And then, of course, you know, we got to hustle and pursue, but it took 40 yards before Jalen Ramsey coming from free on the backside before he can go and knock him out of bounds. Right? And so that's what that was. But again, like, outside of that one, and then he had a 20-yard run in the second quarter. Outside of that, he was pretty much boxed up. You know what I mean? Hey, JP in the building, man. I see Joseph Powell in the building. What's going on, big dog? I see you. But, yeah, hey, Cicero's going to buys don't miss. I said, man, buys don't miss them, man. Come on now. Yeah, y'all know what's going on, but that was a fantastic game. And then, of course, now, winning that game, Steelers win the AFC North, clinch that 4th seed. We're going to host the Texans on Monday night in our building, right, for a chance to move forward to the divisional. But then the news on the other side of the game, of course, is longtime tenured coach, man, John Harbaugh, fired, relieved some duties. 18 years in that building, won a Super Bowl. He had been to the playoffs the last 3 years before this year. And honestly, you know what? I'm curious. It feels like, now maybe it's just me. I've always felt that John Harbaugh was all, in my mind, honestly, and it's not just like Steelers, Ravens bias. I've always felt like John Harbaugh was a tad overrated as a coach. Like, I've honestly felt that way. Because honestly, these teams have underachieved for years. People want to say my Steelers underachieved with Tomlin. Tomlin ain't had no 2, arguably 3-time MVP quarterback in his prime. We ain't had no Hall of Fame. No, we did have, no. Tomlin ain't had no Hall of Fame running back. Le'Veon maybe could have gave himself a shot, man. You know what I'm saying? But it didn't work out, right? But we ain't got no Hall of Fame back that could give you 2,000. He came back this year. We thought it was a down year for Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry finished 2nd in the league in rushing with just under 1,600 yards, man. He caught and passed Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor finished 3rd. You know what I mean? So Derrick Henry's a stud. You know what I mean? So they've had a lot of pieces there. And until this year, that defense has generally been a very solid defense. So John Harbaugh has critically underperformed in my mind, man. And a lot of those critical losses came down to decisions that was on him. Going forward on 4th down and maybe in instances that just don't make sense. You know what I mean? Like, you know, just a lot of different things, man. But no, Harbaugh gets fired. And here's the thing as well. I think Harbaugh is a good coach, but people would talk about Harbaugh like he's an elite coach. And that's where I guess I think I draw the line. I can't consider Harbaugh in line with like a Shanahan. You know what I mean? Like, I think I think he was just, I didn't hold him in that high regard, but I was surprised to see him get canned though, honestly. I didn't necessarily see that coming. But anywho, and I tell you what, I'm gonna try to find another game that's worth talking about. Here we go. The Cleveland game. Cleveland on the road at Cincinnati. Cleveland wins that game 20-18. And of course, the big news from that game is Myles Garrett was able to set the NFL season single sack record with 23 sacks. I mean, it is what it is, man. He got a sack from Joe Burrow in that game. Man, they even stopped the game in Cincinnati to celebrate it. And I think I seen in the post-game interviews or conferences, post-game conference or interview where like Jamar Chase and maybe somebody else on the Bengals was like, bro, why would we stop the game to celebrate an opposing player in our building? And I'm with you. I don't give a damn about none of that. He in my house. And matter of fact, we still trying to win this game. But yeah, they was a little felt the way about that, and I think understandably so. You know what I mean? Honestly, but no, that's still a big accomplishment. It's a big milestone. We all know one of them sacks. He didn't lay one finger on Josh Allen in Buffalo. You know what I'm saying? To get that record, but it's all good. You know what I mean? They gave his crybaby ass that record. And, you know, and kudos and congratulations to him, man. But that is a big milestone for sure. 23 sacks, that's a lot of sacks, period, man. That's a lot of sacks, period. So, you know, shout out to Myles Garrett. Let me see. Saints, we'll talk about this one. Saints on the road at Atlanta, they lose this game. Now, this game was important, not necessarily to either of these teams, but this is the game that decided the winner of the NFC South. And so the Falcons win this game, which made the Panthers the NFC South champions. Now, news out of this game as well is that Atlanta essentially cleaned house. They fired head coach Raheem Morris. They also fired the GM Terry Fontenot. And so I'm not gonna lie, they finished the Falcons. It got rough in the middle part. It definitely was a rough season for sure. I should say that. Michael Penix, before the injury, he didn't necessarily, progress the way you would have hoped that he would have progressed if you're, in that building and on that team, right? And then, of course, he gets hurt. Kirk Cousins comes back in. He's a little rocky as well to get his sea legs under him. But once they kind of got going, they finished strong. I want to say Atlanta finished their season. They won 4 out of the last 5, right? And so I think that they were, and that defense came around. Because let's not forget, Raheem Morris is a defensive guy. He's a defensive coach, primarily. That's what he specializes in. And so the young defensive players that they brought in, Terry Fontenot had a fantastic draft. James Pierce Jr. is a stud. James Pierce Jr., rookie, they brought in out of Tennessee. Now, for me, I had him as the number 2 rusher in the draft. I had Abdul Carter, then I had James Pierce Jr., so I was a fan. But, he had some baggage or some history or whatever on his name, I should say. I can't tell you what's true and what's not. But, there was thoughts that maybe he was going to be problematic. 10.5 sacks. He had more than twice what Abdul Carter had, man. The golden child of the draft in his pass rush, right? I think he finished with 4. James Pierce Jr. had 10.5. He had a lot. He had more sacks than a lot of well-known established players in this league. So he's a stud. And then the other guy, Jalen Walker out of Georgia. I also was a fan of him. He was one of those players, man. He's a little niche. You know what I mean? You either love him or you hate him style of guy. But he was successful. He had 5 or 5.5 sacks. Still more than Abdul Carter. Xavier Watts, I was a big fan of his game as well. Ball hawk, and he true to form. He ended up turning up, especially when we got into the second half of the season, turning the ball over, interceptions, fumble recoveries in the 9. So he showed well. So Terry Fontenot had a fantastic draft, right? Now, the Michael Penix pick, right now, maybe we call it a miss. Maybe we call it a miss right now. But it's his second year and he got hurt. So yeah, he's played like a year and a half. And so I'm not necessarily willing to sell the farm and say that was a flat out miss. Right? Now, the signing of Kirk Cousins, depending, now that's probably a miss, especially when you guarantee the man $100 million and then he comes over there and he's Garbaggio and then he gets hurt as well. Now, also, he was coming off injury. And so you got a 38-year-old man coming off of a serious injury. And yeah, man, he's not no spring chicken. He couldn't hit the ground running like you wanted him to. And so, maybe I think those are probably the moves that sealed the deal for Terry Fontenot. I think mishandling the quarterback situation. The $100 million for Kirk, and then you still backdoor and spend a top 10 pick on Michael Penix Jr., and neither one of those to this point have really panned out. Now, like I said, it's early on him. But also, I think Fontenot drafted Bijan. He drafted Kyle Pitts. Now, it was a little, it got a little questionable for Pitts there, but I think that was more so a function of his usage and not his ability, because we didn't see Kirk Cousins giving him the ball, and man, look, he's looking like the unicorn we thought he would be, right? And so, but they clean house there, and I know there were some talks that Raheem Morris firing may have had just as much to do with because they were firing Terry Fontenot, and so to bring in a new GM, a lot of times the new GM is going to want to bring in his own coach, and so maybe they just made a clean sweep. But I was kind of surprised when I saw that Raheem Morris got let go, man. Especially, like I said, when they finished as strong as they did, and that defense, that young defense as well, they really kind of started coming along. And so let's see. Sis said that's the best game that the Saints have played all year. No, the Saints have been and that's a good point as well. They definitely played that one pretty tough. That defense has really came along. Chase Young on that defense, he really turned it up the second half of the season. I was a big Chase Young fan coming out of Ohio State. He was the next edge rusher out of that building. He was the next guy that took the mantle from Nick Bosa. So there was Joey Bosa. Then Baby Bosa was right after that. Then Chase Young was the next guy. And at the time, Chase Young was thought to be a better prospect than both of those guys. And we know how dominant the Bosas were, right? And so Chase Young was even thought to even be better than what those guys were going to be. Well, he didn't necessarily have the start to his career that we would have expected. Honestly, with the Commanders, they had all that talent in the D-line. They couldn't really get any juice out of it. And so, he's kind of had a quiet. He bounced around a little bit. But now he's really kind of turned it on with the Saints as well. I think he had like 10, 11 sacks this year with the Saints. And he really turned it up. He's really catching his stride now. And he's just now entering his prime. He's like 20, 25, 26. Man's like 6'5", 270. You know what I mean? He's like 6'5", 270 and can move. Like if he's catching his stride now, this is the perfect timing, man. And that's going to be good for that Saints team going forward. Tyler Shutt, the rookie that they drafted in the top of the second round, he looks like a player. I wasn't a fan of the pick at the time. I wasn't a fan of him necessarily as a prospect And you know, I let a lot of the outside context have a weight. Maybe I put too much weight on that. He's like a 25-year-old prospect that had like 3 season-ending injuries. You know what I mean? In college, and then he had some ugly. He looked like he had scared feet, man. Like, you know what I mean? Looked like he had some ugly panic throwaways on his tape that I didn't know if I could trust it. But nah, he looks to be a player, man. He looks to be a player. So he really look, things are boding well for the Saints. I think the Saints, this was a nice opening season for Kellen Moore coming over from Philly, right? And as a matter of fact, shout out to J2 Trio. They let Kellen Moore out their building. He goes to Philly. Look at Philly this year without Kellen Moore versus last year, right? So we can see his impact there. And now look what Kellen Moore is doing with the Saints, with the rookie Tyler Shuck, what he did with the 5th round quarterback in Spencer Rattler before they pulled him for Tyler Shuck. Chris Olave had 1,100 yards this year, I want to say. So this was a nice starting point for the Saints and Kellen Moore and Tyler Shuck for sure. You know, they played some damn good ball this last second half of the season. They really did. That's a good call out, sis. They really did. Let me see. I'm trying to find games worth mentioning because, like I said, a lot of these games were just, and you know, this is what I'll do. I'll just kind of blow through some of these ones that maybe everybody didn't play or didn't have anything going on. The Vikings end up beating the Packers 16-19. The Packers end up assuming the 7th seed with this loss. Let me see. Shout out to my dog J2 Trill, man. His Cowboys got beat up on by the Giants. They lose that game 34-17. Oh, they got full-fledged Peter rolled. Yeah, y'all got doubled up. But yeah, nah, it's all good there. Let me see. No real draft implications in that one. Jacksonville, I think with a bulk of their backups playing as well. Now, Cam Ward got hurt in this one for what that's worth, but Jacksonville rolled them 41-7. Winning this game did, I think, clinch the AFC South for them, and then ended up locking them into that 3 seed. Let me see. My dog, terrible time in his Texans. Boy, look here, Tom. I'm going to tell you something, big dog. You know what I mean? I know we were just singing the praises of your defense, but I see y'all get 30 points put on y'all by Riley Leonard. Let me tell you how much faith the Colts had in Riley Leonard. The Colts had so much faith in Riley Leonard that they called 45-year-old Phillip Rivers to bring his old ass off his couch in Alabama to come start and play quarterback on 3 days' notice. That's how much or how highly they thought of the ability of Riley Leonard. Well, now that they officially eliminated from the playoffs, Riley Leonard goes ahead and gets to start this game. And boy, he was dicing y'all ass up, man. Riley Leonard was out there letting that thing fly. Hold on, I think I might got the stats on them. Riley Leonard against this vaunted Texans defense, and I'll give them their respect. I think that is a game-changing style defense. They legit. They are legit. But let me tell you what rookie Riley Leonard did to him in his second start, I want to say. 270 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he also rushed the touchdown. Then he did throw an interception in this one. Alec Pierce, 4 catches for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then honestly, he got ejected. He got ejected in that game on some nonsense. Man, I wish Tom was still in here. Matter of fact, I'm trying to remember what it was that happened to guy Alec Pierce ejected from that game. But no, he gets ejected. Of course. And then on the other side, CJ threw for 169 in the touchdown. Also had a rushing touchdown. Rookie Jaden Higgins, he caught the touchdown from CJ Stroud. And even this game, this is a 1-point game. The defensive tackle for the Texans, what's his name? Tommy Tagoe, defensive tackle for the Texans. At the end of the game, they try to do some style of like hook and ladder or some style of play like that. There's a fumble. He picks it up and runs it for a touchdown to actually spread this score out. But this was a tooth and nail game with the Colts in their building against rookie Riley Leonard, who was slicing and dicing for a lot part of this game before he lost. Alec Pearson was given that secondary hell. But the win does. Then, of course, with the Jaguars win, the Texans do lock in that 5th seed. They do lock in that 5th seed. Hold on, man. I see my dog Derpy in the building. What's going on, big dog? Hold on, let me catch up and see in the chat what you had for me. Yeah, you know what's going on. You damn right. You damn right. They took a sack away from TJ Watt. They took a sack away from what's the old boy from the Vikings? He was with the Chiefs, and then he went from the Chiefs to the Vikings. Jared Allen. There we go. I saw an interview with Jared Allen when he was talking about the record, and he pulled the clip, and he had the clip ready and everything, man. They showed the sack he had. I guess that would have been 23, and the NFL took it away. It was one of those. I'm not going to lie. If the NFL gave Myles Garrett a sack or even half a sack, whatever you want to call it, they gave him that sack in Buffalo without touching the quarterback, then I don't want to hear no nonsense about Jared Allen or TJ Watt's sack not counting. That's bullshit. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Let me see what my dog Derpy had for me. He said he got some narratives for the Steelers that most people don't know. Well, do share, my boy. Do share. It's the 20th anniversary of Super Bowl 40. Oh, it is. Yeah. Super Bowl 40 over the Seahawks. Yep, you sure right, big dog. That was 2020. That was 2006. Yeah, man. Yeah, you sure right. Shout out to my dog Derpy. For sure. It's the 50th anniversary of the Terrible Towel. I did not know that. Uh-oh. Aaron Rodgers is from California. The Super Bowl is in San Francisco. Okay. Okay, what else you got for me now? Hold on. I like what you're doing here, Derpy. Yeah, and the only team that Rodgers hadn't beaten in the... Hey, now. Hey, Derpy, man, you cooking right now, big dog. Hey, I'm gonna let you cook. You cooking right now. Okay, hold on. Now you're getting deep. Okay, let me see what we got. The Pittsburgh elected mayor in 06 named O'Connor. Wait, what? He won, skipped to 2026. Oh, and his son just got elected as the mayor. Dog. I don't even know how you found that information. I don't even know how you found that tidbit, but that's crazy. All right, so my dog Derpy, he's saying that in 06, the year we won Super Bowl 40, a new mayor O'Connor, apparently was elected as mayor of Pittsburgh. So now it's 20 years later, it's going to be Super Bowl 60, and now the mayor who was elected our Super Bowl year in Super Bowl 40, his son just got elected mayor of Pittsburgh as well. Hey, I believe it. I ain't got no reason to doubt you. I believe it. Hey, it all sounds good to me, Derpy. Hey, shout out to my dog Chop in the building, man. What's going on, man? Let's go. Hey, Chop, man, I'm glad you're here. I'm going to put you on the spot, too. There's 7 head coach openings right now, man. I want you to give me 7 candidates. I'm going to make it work. I'm gonna make my dog Chop work. He can't get in here all the time like he used to, so when he get in here, I'm going to make him work. Chop, it's 7 head coach vacancies right now. I need you to give me 7, fill those 7 spots with 7 candidates, man. I need to see it in the chat. You got some time. We got another hour left for show. We got another hour left, Chop. But before we get out of here, I want you to fill these 7 head coaching vacancies, big dog. I want to see what you're thinking. Vegas James in the building. What's going on, big dog? What's up? He said he's looking forward to that Chargers and New England game. New England hasn't been tested much this season. And you know what? That is going to be an interesting matchup, dog. And so, like, one thing about it, like, the Chargers, they're just a very, like, Jim Harbaugh is a fantastic coach. I've always thought that Jim Harbaugh is a superior coach to John Harbaugh. Honestly, Jim Harbaugh's won everywhere he went. He was in Stanford, right, with Andrew Luck. Boy, they had Stanford game. What he did at Stanford, right, raising and elevating that program. He goes to San Francisco. We saw what he did in San Francisco, right, with Alex Smith, pulling the plug on Alex Smith for Colin Kaepernick, and then that move paying dividends, that team going to the Super Bowl, right? And so we saw what he did there. He, burns out in San Francisco, whatever the case. He goes to Michigan, and then, it was some funny business. You know what I mean? It was a cheating scandal, right? But that cheating hasn't tarnished the legacy of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. And so, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the national championship that he won in Michigan it means anything less because nobody really goes back and takes any of those rings away from Tom Brady. We don't take any of those rings away from Bill Belichick. So I'm not going to take his national championship away from Jim Harbaugh. So, national championship at Michigan, funky-ass, dirty-ass Michigan. You know what I mean? Be that as it may. It's Big Buckeye over here if you didn't know. Yeah. Real live Ohio player, boy. You better act like you know something. But yeah, no, so I'm not going to take it away, man. National champion. Then comes back, goes to Los Angeles with the Chargers, and then there's a vast, these last, 2 years now? This is the best that we've ever seen. This is the most confident that I feel like we've ever seen Justin Herbert play for sure. For sure. I think this is the most confident Justin Herbert that we've seen. Jim Harbaugh has definitely, I feel like, instilled him with a new level of just confidence and belief in his own play. And so Justin Herbert for years, and shout out to my dog Chop, I'm glad my dog Chop here. For years, right? Me and Chop used to go back and forth about Justin Herbert, man. If y'all OG let the film speak fans in here, if Day One Game Jarrell was in the building, man, he could tell y'all. We done had it out about Justin Herbert, dog, because he's supremely talented. He really is, dog. Justin Herbert, like 6'4", 230. I think Justin Herbert ran like a high 4'5". You know what I mean? Like, he can throw the ball a mile. He's accurate. He can move. Like, he's got all the goods. Except in here, he cracks, man. He fumbles. When the catcher get hot, he can't stand the heat. He folds in the big moment. That's always been my critique of Justin Herbert, right? I don't think he's not that guy no more, man. And I think that's a kudo and a credit to Jim Harbaugh, man. That's definitely a kudo and a credit to Jim Harbaugh for sure. So as injured and beat up as that team around him has been, his 2 tackles, they've been out all year. He's got 2 all-pro tackles missing. Not one. He's got 2 all-pro quality tackles. Both of them been out the majority of the season, dog. In the interior of that offensive line, man, look, I'm a Garbaggio, man. They didn't get their ROI on Zion Johnson at guard, and I like Zion Johnson coming in from Boston College. But, man, he ain't been the guy they wanted. The other guard spot, Jamari Sawyer and whoever else they've been rotating on that line, man, they went and got Mekhi Becton from Philly to try to find an answer. But the Bozeman at center, like, these are just names. There's not a quality offensive lineman in front of him. And he's been running for his life all season. He broke his hand. You know what I'm saying? He broke a bone in his hand. He doesn't have crazy dynamic weapons. Ladd McConkey don't scare nobody, man, respectfully. And I'm not saying that he can't show up and show out. I'm not saying that. Ain't nobody scared, though. Quentin Johnston was a bust. That's also a credit and a kudo to Jim Harbaugh. You know what I mean? He looks viable now, but he's not a dude. They went and got old OG Keenan Allen back. They never should let him out that building for one, but they went and got him back. But yeah, he my age, man. Respectfully, he's OG. I respect him. I think Keenan Allen is also one of the more underrated receivers of his generation for sure. But, you know, like, there's no weapons there that scare us, man. There's no weapons there that scare us. The running game has been hit and miss. Heck, man, he was on his 3rd and 4th string running back most of the year, dog. And you know what? With all that going against him, bro, the Chargers won 12 games, cuz. Chargers won 12 games, dog. You know what I'm saying? And so, hey, man, Chargers ain't nobody slouch. You got to respect them, bro. You got to respect them. The Patriots, right? Y'all know I love me some Drizzy May, man. Y'all know I love me some Drizzy Drake May. For sure, you right. But honestly, dog, I mean, he's fantastic. The elevation, the step he took from year 1 to year 2 is special. I'm trying to think of a progression, as vast a progression in recent memory. Like, who have we seen elevate their game so far between year 1 and year 2? I'm like, what's the last? Man, hold on. I got to think about that, bro. Because I would say it'd be easy to say Patty Mahomes, but see, he didn't actually play year 1. You know what I mean? So we didn't. He got to start like the last game of the season that year 1 with Alex Smith, and then year 2 he took off. But we didn't see the elevation. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't necessarily judge his year over year jump because that first year, you know what I'm saying? He was paying his dues. You know what I'm saying? He was learning the game. He was getting put on. You see what I'm saying? So we can't even say Pat. Man, who made a big jump like that, bro? Drake May's probably gonna be the MVP of the league, dog. Year 2. Like, I'm talking like, what type of... No, not Peyton. Peyton led the league in interceptions his rookie year. Year 2 was definitely a lot better than that. You know, that's a low bar to beat. But no, man, not MVP level. Man, we gotta think, dog. It took Tom Brady 8 years as a starter before he arrived as the guy that we know him as now. Nah, maybe not 8, like 6 or 7 years to turn into Tom Brady. You feel me? So not Tom, dog. I can't think of nobody, bro. Not in recent memory. We can't think of a guy that elevated their game to the level that Drake May did in one season. From freshman to sophomore, he's an MVP candidate. Likely winner, in my book. You know what I mean? We're going to talk about that as well. But no, man, that's going to be a good-ass game. Now, New England, in that building, New England just traditionally is a tough place to win, especially in the playoffs, right? For a lot of reasons. We ain't going to talk about it. It's all good. You know what I mean? But that New England team as well, and this is also kind of similar to the Chargers, there's nobody on that. Who scares us on that New England team, dog? That's why I think Drake May's the MVP. Because who's he playing with? Keyshawn Butte? Respectfully. Keyshawn Butte, he don't scare nobody. Stephon Diggs, coming off his injury, right? Coming off of a bad knee in his age 32 season. And I love Stephon Diggs. I was a big Stephon Diggs fan, dog. He's not that guy no more, though. He's not the guy that strikes fear in us no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I can't. Hunter Henry at tight end. That offensive line is average at best. Rookie left tackle Will Campbell. Rest of that line, you know what I mean? Like, dog, there's just not a lot there. And you know what he did? Let me tell you, man, hold on, man. Let me tell you what Drizzy May did with the supporting cast around him. 4,400 passing yards, or damn near. 31 touchdowns. He led the league in completion percentage, 72%. Now, let me tell you why that's a special stat for Drake May specifically, right? 70% is elite. Elite. That's Drew Brees. But when Drew Brees threw for 70%, they were 3-yard hitches to Michael Thomas. You know what I mean? It was a season, he threw 163-yard slants to Michael Thomas. He led the league in, you know what I'm saying? He would hit 70 yards completion percentage. You know what else Drake May did? Leading the league in completion percentage at 72? Damn near, he completed roughly 3 out of every 4 passes. Now, you know what else he did? He led the league in yards per attempt. He was down the field, dog. He averaged 9 yards an attempt. Number 1 in the league. So it's not dink and dunk. It's not screens. It's not inflated numbers, bro. There were no easy screens and dump offs in the flat. No quick 3-yard slants. No quick 4-yard outs. No quick 5-6 yard hitches. No. He's up the field, bro. Long ball. Long ball. And led the league. Man, come on, man. Like, that's nuts, dog. So that's gonna be a good ass game, bro. I'm with you. Hey, shout out to Vegas James, man. I'm with you, bro. I can't wait to see that game. Now, I'm not gonna lie. Watching New England lose that game at home to Buffalo when they were up 21-0, that worries me. It does. It does worry me. Now, Justin Herbert, I know I sung his praises. He ain't Josh Allen, though. I know I sung his praises, but he ain't Josh Allen. And then also, he ain't got no James Cook as well. Because Josh Allen and James Cook teed up, bro. Now, Justin Herbert doesn't have a James Cook. And also, that Chargers defense, I think they have the better defense between the two. between the two teams as well. So the Chargers are definitely more than a live dog in that game, bro. For sure. That's going to be a good-ass game. I can't wait to see that game. I'm not going to lie to you. Good. Hey, shout out to my dog, Vegas James, man. Shout out to my dog, Vegas James, man. You one of them members, big dog. Let's go. Yeah, that's a good call-out. That's going to be a good-ass game. Matter of fact, hold on. J2 Trill. No, he said, okay, J2 Trill, when I was talking about year-over-year improvement. See, Mahomes' first year, we didn't really see him. So year 2, he just came out. He was a bottle rocket. We didn't really see him year 1. Lamar, there you go. Okay, now you on. Lamar, you absolutely right. You absolutely right. His rookie year, let me make sure I remember right. Yeah, his rookie year, he ended up starting like the last 6 games. He replaced Flacco his rookie year, and he started like those last 6 games. The next year, he won MVP. You absolutely right. Lamar's the last guy. Now, here's something as well. Man, y'all might hate me for this. I think what Drake May did is more impressive. Now, let me tell you why. Lamar, in that second year, he won his first MVP. But if we remember, he got really hot like the last 6 games of the year. And he really separated himself. We forget that Lamar year, that was Russell Wilson's probably best year. Russell Wilson was trending as the MVP of that season. At least in my mind, that's how I remember it. Russell Wilson had his best chance to be the league MVP that year. He was fantastic. But then, Seattle, for whatever reason, it felt like they put the brakes on him a little bit. That season is where what started the Let Russell Cook movement. Remember, that was a real movement? And it's crazy how far Russell Wilson has failed in public perception. Some of it is on doing. You know what I mean? Some of it is on doing a little bit, man. He could be a little over the top. You know what I mean? He could play into he could play into that. And I don't want to even call him corny, bro, because he just being who he is. You know what I mean? But he kind of plays into that a little bit, intentionally or unintentionally, but he does. But that's still outside perception. But that season is what birthed the Let Russell Cook movement. And it was a real thing. Let Russ Cook was a thing for a while, for a couple seasons. That year was Russell Wilson's best year. Look, he was trending toward the MVP. He slowed down, and Lamar took off like those last, those last 4, 5, 6 games of the year. And he did, man. He did. He did, and he won that MVP. But no, that's a good call out, J2 Trio. Hey, man, this is why y'all members, man. Your average fan can't talk like this, man. They don't know it. They don't even get that deep into it like this, man. That's why y'all here. That's why y'all one of them members, man. Let's go. Oh, DV in the building. Come on, man. Come on, man. You know what's going on. Shout out to my dog, my brethren, man. Hey, Steeler Nation, you know what's going on. Let's go, man. I appreciate you, homeboy. Let's go. Okay, Chop, I see you. I'm going to come back to you as well. Chop got them coaches for me. Okay, Chop, I'm going to come back to those. Though. Matter of fact, hold on. Let me catch up on this chat. I'm going to come back to you, though, Chop. Sis says she got to ask the good one for the Ravens. Hold on, don't spoil it. I'm going to come back to it. Let me see what else has been going on. Let me see what else is going on. Hold on here. Let me see what we got. Let me see what we've got on. Oh man, I'm behind in the chat. Hold on, I'm coming. Hold on. Let me see what we got on. Let me see what we got going on. Derpy said he's got the Patriots winning that game. Man, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I think that's a damn good matchup, bro. I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm gonna give the edge as well to Drizzy May in his building. You know what I mean? When did they announce MVP? They may announce him as the league MVP before that game. Them boys gonna be fired up. You know what I mean? So I'm with you. I'm leaning Patriots to win the game for sure. And for all the improvement that I was just talking about with Justin Herbert, I still ain't seen him. Now he's getting into the kitchen. So now we'll see. But the way he looks now with the newfound confidence I feel like he's playing with, I want to see now does it carry over, you know what I'm saying, when we put the lights on. That's what I used to talk about with my dog Child. Say, hey man, it's one thing to ball in an empty gym, man. Drop 30 when the lights on. You know what I mean? Don't go 8 for 8 on your free throws in the first 3 quarters, and then now You got a 1-for-1 with 12 seconds left, and now you missed them 2. 8 for 10 sound good, but you missed the only 2 that count. You see what I'm saying? So I still need to see him do it when the lights get on, and he's gonna have a chance, right? He's gonna have a chance in that game most likely, and so I need to see it there. But yeah, I'm with you though, man. I'm probably gonna pick the Patriots, but I think Justin Herbert, this new Justin Herbert, and that defense is a little underrated. That's a very underrated defense with those Chargers as well, man. So yeah, that's gonna be a good ass game, man. I ain't gonna lie. I don't know if a lot of people, shout out to Vegas James again, because I don't know if a lot of people are really looking at that matchup as excited for that matchup as I am. And you know what I'm saying? But I think that's gonna be a damn good game, bro. For sure. Hey, Derby said he dropped some more for me back there. Okay, I gotta come back to you then. Unanimous. Okay, yeah, that's Lamar. Yeah, he was unanimous that second year for sure. Let me see. Nah, exactly. I'm with you. That's exactly my thoughts, bro. That's exactly my thoughts. And so yeah, he gonna get a chance this year to see if he can redeem himself or shake that old stigma that I got on him. He said you got to see those big paragraphs. Hold on, I'm gonna go back and find them. I'm gonna go back and find them in the chat. Hold on. And as a matter of fact, hold on. Let me. I told my dog Charles gonna circle back on them coaches. I got you. Hold on. Let me see what he got for us. Okay. Giants, he's going Jason Garrett. Really? And you know, I saw that he was interviewing there. Like I saw that they called him in for an interview. And you know what? I feel like he interviewed. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he interviewed for that job when they ended up going with Dayball as well. I believe he ended up interviewing there when that cycle when Dayball got hired, if I'm not mistaken. And I did see that he was brought back in for another interview as well. And you think he gets that job? Let me think about that. Okay. I don't hate it. Okay. I don't hate that. The Raiders bringing Gruden back? I don't know, dog. I wonder if there's a little too much water under that bridge. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wonder if there's a little too much water under that bridge. But great into the Rooters. All right, great into the Rooters, dog. Come on, man. Gruden to the Raiders. Okay, hey, I'm not gonna lie. That's a little out the box, and I appreciate it. I didn't see that one coming. Graded, man. Gruden going back to the Raiders. You think Tom Brady and Gruden? Yeah, okay. That's the one I don't want to see. That's what scares me. I agree with you. I think Brian Flores is exactly what the Raiders need, dog. I think I was talking about on the opener earlier in the show before you got on because we were talking about Brian Flores. Matter of fact, my dog J2 Trill was talking about Brian Flores maybe being the new DC in Dallas. I said, nah, man, he's not gonna make a lateral move from DC in Minnesota to DC in Dallas. But I said he's gonna be a head coach. And then the first thing I said after we said that, I said, boy, I hope he don't go to Baltimore. Because I think Baltimore would be. I think he's exactly what he fits that mold exactly, bro. Bring that Baltimore, they really thrive when they have that defensive presence and identity, right? That's the backbone of the organization, right? And just like the discipline and the structure that he comes with as well. Like I do think I'm with you, bro. I think that's probably the best pairing. You know what I mean? Of the available candidates in the available spots, I'm with you. That's the best pairing. Man, I hope to, man, whatever guy y'all believe in, whoever your guy is, man, talk to him for me. Tell him don't let Brian Flores go to the Ravens. I do not want to see that. But I'm with you though, bro. I ain't gonna lie. That would make me worried. That would worry me. And he's been in my building. You know what I mean? Like he came and put some time in Pittsburgh as well. He knows he's got insider info on us now. You know what I mean? So yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, that worries me. Harbaugh to the Titans. Do you now? If the Titans can get Harbaugh, I think that'd be fantastic. I'm not sure Harbaugh is gonna want to go to the Titans though. Like, I don't know if Harbaugh wants to go to the Titans. That would be the only thought. Now, if the Titans get Harbaugh, that's a fantastic hire. I think that'd be a fantastic hire if they can get him. Van Joseph to the Falcons, the defensive coordinator for the Broncos. I'm wondering if they don't want to go offensive. Like an offensive style head coach. Because you remember they had Arthur Smith, who was an offensive style coach, right? They let him go. They've been, if you notice a trend with the Falcons, they've been going defense, offense, defense, offense. They had Dan Quinn. Let's not forget, remember, Dan Quinn, defensive guy, head coach with Matty Ice, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones. And they went to that Super Bowl, 28-3, lost to the Patriots. And then from there, they went Arthur Smith, an offensive guy, right? They couldn't get over the hump. He couldn't work it out. Then they went Raheem Morris, a defensive guy. And so the pattern that they've shown, it looks like they may want to go offensive guy this second time around. And then also with the issues at quarterback, Michael Penix, he's injured. I don't think that offense that they put him in like suited his play style though, honestly, as well. Because the offensive coordinator that Raheem Morris had in the Falcons, he came with him from LA. So it was that McVay, kind of like West Coast based style of offense where, I mean, I don't necessarily think that offense suited Michael Penix. Like the things he did great, the things that made him special coming out of Washington is he's a vertical ball thrower. You know what I mean? Like he's got a cannon. He needs to improve on his touch. That was one of the things that he needed to work on at Washington as well. But he's a guy, he throws 98-mile fastballs. He's a fastball pitcher. You know what I mean? And so he's a vertical passer. And so I think that offense just didn't suit his skill set necessarily. And so I think it might make sense for them to go offensive, right? To try to see if they can salvage the draft capital that they spent, a top 10 pick on Michael Penix Jr. So I think they may go offense. But Vance Joseph is a good pull, though. Because honestly, I'm not sure if I've really heard his name. I don't know if I've heard much about interviews requested for him. Because I was trying to think what team. I think a team requested an interview with like the Broncos quarterback coach, if I'm not mistaken, like working under Sean Payton. But I don't know if I had heard something about Vance Joseph being requested for interviews as well. So that's a good pull though. Cardinals with Stefanski. I can see that. I'm not mad at that either. Cardinals and Stefanski, I'm not mad at that. Okay. And the Browns go get baby Kubiak. Okay, yeah, the OC for the Seahawks. Yeah. And you know what? Wait a minute. Yeah. Cause I was gonna say, cause I know he was with Kyle Shanahan with the Niners as the QB coach, I believe, for a couple years. And he's a young guy. He was the QB coach with Kyle Shanahan, and I think he was getting head coach buzz a couple years ago as like a potential Sean McVay style hire, young, up and coming, hot shot offensive guy. So I remember that. I was about to say, no, that's not him. I was trying to think of who was the other guy that came with DeMeco Ryans from San Francisco to be the offensive coordinator with the Texans when they had their first good year. Then that second year, it all fell apart and they fired him. But that wasn't Kubiak, I don't think. So, yeah. But I know he also came from that Shanahan tree as well. And I don't hate that. I don't hate that at all. I like that, actually. That's a good pull as well. Hey, boy, I ain't gonna lie, boy. That's pretty solid. That's pretty solid. I'm not mad at that. Now, the one that jumped out to me is Harbaugh. If the Titans can get him, that's a fantastic hire. Like I said, I don't know if he wants to necessarily go to the Titans. I think Harbaugh with the Giants. I think I like Harbaugh to the Giants. I'm not gonna lie. In my mind, I just think I like the sound of that fit. But yeah, Flores to the Ravens is scary. Gruden coming back and running it back with the Raiders is, I ain't gonna lie, cuz you got me thinking. Hey, cooking with Chop in the chop shot. Shout out to my dog. Cooking with Chop in the chop shot. Hey, and you know that. For sure you right. Let's go. Shout out to my dog. Hold on, Derpy. I'm gonna run you back as well, man. Let me see if I can find those comments you had for me. Hold on. He said the fact that the fact it's been 10 years since Peyton Manning retired. Jordan Love wears number 10. And every time Green Bay has a quarterback who turns 27, they go to the Super Bowl. So you saying that you think the Packers are going to the Super Bowl? Man, I'm not going to lie. The Packers, and my dog Chop in here, he can tell you, I was pretty high on the shirt. Like the Packers were also like my dark horse team out the NFC this year. Because like Jordan Love and Tucker Kraft, man, I really felt good about them going into the season. And they were special. And honestly, that Packers team, that Packers offense, they really haven't been the same since Tucker Kraft got injured, dog. They really haven't, man. They really haven't. And then Josh Jacobs got beat up this year. Man, he was in and out for like the whole second half of the season. Of course, you lose Micah Parsons on the defense. And so they lost kind of the spark or juice on that side of the ball as well. And then the Packers, man, they just really stumbled down the stretch. But I think the key turning point for them was really losing Tucker Kraft. But I ain't gonna lie, man, the Packers healthy, and when they were really kind of rolling, when they kind of hit their stride right there in the middle of the season, man, I had high hopes for them as well. I think at this point, I think they really just kind of, they may have almost peaked a little too soon, and now they've been, you know what I mean? It feels almost like they still made the playoffs because they did enough work early to position themselves right, but they're not firing, man. They're not playing their best ball right now. The most important thing about the playoffs is, regardless of how the season went, you want to be hitting your stride at this point going forward because you need to take another step going forward. And the Packers have, for a lot of reasons, it feels like more so that they've regressed toward the end of the season as opposed to like catching stride. Because honestly, I don't feel great about them going to Chicago. Like, I don't feel great about them beating the Bears in Chicago. Now, we remember how exciting that Bears-Packers game was, just a month ago, that was also in Chicago, where Caleb Williams may have had the throw of the year. That overtime touchdown throw to, he had a couple. To DJ Moore? Dog, I don't know how many passes we saw all year better than that pass. The Caleb Williams touchdown pass, I believe, is the one in overtime to DJ Moore. Special. That very well may be that, or just on the spot in my mind, like that very well may have been the best pass of the best individual pass of the season, bro. It was that special, that fantastic. And he threw a couple dimes in that one. The touchdown to Luther Burden. Also, I think that was also against the Packers. I don't know if it was the same, which game was the first or the second Packers game, but he had another beautiful pass to Luther Burden. Shout out to Mo. I see you, Luther Burden, MIZ and all that, baby. You know what's going on. But no, man, I think the Packers, I think they peaked a little soon. They got injured and beat up. Even Jordan Love and Malik Willis both finished the season beat up and injured. They were taking turns, you know what I'm saying, on and off the injury report. And so I think for a lot of reasons, man, I just don't think they hitting that stride. But I was with you. Coming into the season, the Packers was my dark horse team for sure. For sure. He said, over the past 20 years, every time the Seahawks were the number 1 seed, Pope was elected prior. Now you lost me. Hold on. Wait, what? All right, Derry, you got it. I missed that one. That one went over my head. I ain't gonna hold you. That one went over my head. The new Pope. Okay, he's tying it in. The new Pope is from Chicago. And now the Bears are good. And the same Pope saw the White Sox win the World Series in 2005. Man, that was a little thin. That was a little thin. Because now I can't tell. Does that lead to the Bears making it to the Super Bowl? Because now you lost me. So the Pope from Chicago and the Seahawks being the number 1 seed points to the Bears making the Super Bowl. That one lost me. That one lost me. Yeah, that one, I'm trying to work that one out. That one lost me. I ain't gonna hold you. But hold on, man. I'm gonna get back. Let me see if there's any more games that were worth talking about. Like I said, the majority of the league used this as it was an off week for the bulk of the teams. I don't know if there's any other game worth really mentioning. But I tell y'all what, let's talk about season awards. As a matter of fact, I didn't make a title for this. I'm gonna put a little title on the board. I'm gonna put a little title on the board for us, man. Who do y'all have? Hold on. Who do y'all have as y'all 2025 award winners, man? And so I'm talking who's your MVP? Who's your offensive player of the year? Who's your defensive player of the year? Who's your offensive and defensive rookies of the year? Comeback player of the year, coach of the year. The big 6. I think that's 6. If you got them, drop them in the chat right now. And while some of y'all are thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and get y'all mine. You feel me? Now, I did already kind of spoil it a little bit, but I'm not going to lie to you. It's been no secret. You know what I mean? Drizzy May, man. Drizzy May's my MVP. Drizzy May's my MVP, man. Drizzy Drake May, league MVP. I'm going to go back over his numbers, man, tell y'all what he did. I know I talked about it. I'll tell you about it again. Give y'all some time to think about your own answers. If you're interested, drop it in the chat. 4,394 yards, roughly 4,400 yards, passing 31 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. That's roughly a 4-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio, essentially. He added another 450 yards on the ground, another 4 touchdowns rushing as well, so 35 total touchdowns. Led the league in completion percentage at 72%. Also led the league in yards per attempt at 8.9. Man, I don't know if y'all understand how special that is. And also, let me remind you, who is he throwing to, dog? 32-year-old Stephon Diggs, who got his baby mama Cardi B pregnant, and then had another baby mama come out the woodworks. He's been dealing with that. He came back off a torn knee. You know what I mean? Like, that guy, respectfully, because I fool with Stephon Diggs. Respectfully. I'm just adding context, dog. I ain't hating on you. I ain't hating on you at all, man. I can't promise you I wouldn't, man. Look, I'm going to get out of there. I'm going to let that live. I'm going to get out of there. But no, man, but respectfully. And then Keyshawn Butte, of course. Mac Hollins got quality snaps in that receiver room, man. Hunter Henry, the tight end. Yeah, all right. Trayvon Henderson, that running back, the rookie running back, he didn't really hit his stride to the second half of the season. Now, once he hit, he looks like he's gonna be the real deal. But he didn't really get going to the second half of the season. And so when I look at where they were projected to be, now they had that weak ass schedule. We all know that. But you know why they had that weak schedule? Because they were a bad team. There's no difference in this year's Patriots team versus last year's Patriots team other than Mike Vrabel as the head coach and Drizzy May took off like a rocket. That's the difference that elevated them from a team that was projected to be picking in the top 5 for back-to-back years. They were projected to have back-to-back top 5 draft picks because they were projected to be that bad. The only thing that's different from this team and last year is that Drake May went nuclear. I had to give him the MVP. I did. And respectfully as well, Matt Stafford had a fantastic year. He really did. He had a fantastic year. He's also throwing the 2 of the top 12 receivers in football. Puka Nacua is a monster. Devontae Adams led the league in receiving touchdowns. He didn't play the last 2-3 games of the season. And he's got Sean McVay, the offensive genius and mastermind that he is. In that defense, right, there's a lot more balance to that team on the defensive side as well. So I do think Matt Stafford had a fantastic year, special. He definitely did. But he had a lot more to work with. You know what I mean? He really did. And so then also, I feel like the Rams, they kind of let their foot off the gas to close out. The Rams were on track to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. You know what I mean? They were on track to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. They got passed by the Seahawks and the Niners. Now, the Niners are the 6th seed behind the Rams in the final seeding. But the Niners, with all the injuries and everything they went through, they were 1 game away from being the number 1 seed. Let that sink in. When they lost that last game of the year to the Seahawks, or that Monday night game to the Seahawks, that was for the number 1 seed. The Niners win that game, they're the number 1 seed. You see what I'm saying? And so I did give that MVP to young Drizzy Drake May. Now let me see which one I got next here. Oh, and you know what? If my dog Chop in here, man, he's going to love this one. Offensive Player of the Year, Bijan Robinson, man. Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson had a fantastic year. He had a truly special year. 1,478 rushing yards. Damn near 1,500 yards. 7 rushing touchdowns. He averaged 5.2 a carry. In the passing game, he had 79 catches for 820 yards, another 4 touchdowns. That's special. You know what that is? That's young Christian McCaffrey. That production right there is young Christian McCaffrey. That's roughly, let's call it roughly a 2,300 yard from scrimmage season. That's elite. That's elite. That's a very small group. It's a small group of guys that get 2,300 yards in the season combined, right? Chris McCaffrey, he's one of those guys. You know what I mean? That's why I fool with him. Shout out to C-Mac. He's one of those guys. That's a very slim room, though, man. Chris Johnson got 2,500 in the season. He's the only player to ever have 2,500 in the season. Now, 2,000 of his was rushing. His split was 2,500, right? 2,500. He's the only guy in that room. 23? That's elite company, bro. That's elite company. That's truly special. I went Bijan Robinson as my Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year, you know, this one. Now, this one's legit. Last year's was garbage. Last year's feel like they forced it. They gave it to him. This year, this one feels legit. Man had 23 sacks in a year. Regardless of how we feel about the sacks, he had 23 sacks that's going to hit the book. That's an NFL record. You know, kudos and congratulations to Myles Garrett. 23 sacks in the season. Now, Offensive Rookie of the Year, I'm not going to lie, I went back and forth a little bit on this one, but I did settle on Jackson Dart. I think Jackson Dart, now also to his credit, he didn't have a lot of help around him either, right? He didn't have a lot of help around him, and I know they cooled off after that hot start, especially once they lost Cam Scatterbo. They lost Cam Scatterbo. Shout out to you, Scatterbo. But when they lost him, they lost a lot of that steam, that magic, that spark that made them so exciting. But it doesn't discount what he did, Jackson Dart did on the whole. He really had a fantastic season. 2,272 passing yards, so roughly 2,300 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He also added 487 yards rushing, so roughly 2,300 passing yards, roughly 500 yards rushing. He also had 9 rushing touchdowns as well, and he averaged 5.7 a carry. Damn near 6 yards a carry. So Fantastic year for Jackson Dart. I'll tell y'all who I really thought kind of snuck up on him a little bit when I was thinking about it myself. Ted McMillan. I think Ted McMillan in Carolina, bro, he balled. He balled, man. I think he had 70, 75 catches somewhere in there. Went over 1,000 yards. I think he had like 7, 8 touchdowns. And he really has been instrumental in the continued growth and development that we've seen from Bryce Young. And he's played a huge part in that offense in the reason that they're in the playoffs right now. Won that division right now. I think we can attribute a lot of that to Ted McMillan, bro. You know what I mean? And so Ted McMillan got a lot of consideration there, but I think I ended up going with Jackson Dart. I did. Let's see. Defensive Rookie of the Year. Carson Schwarzenegger, man, the linebacker for Cleveland, rookie inside linebacker there. If you don't know his story, he's got a fantastic story anyway. I think he was a walk-on in college. Oh man, why am I blanking now where he went to college at? Because this last year's inside linebacker class, I didn't love it. Him, Demetrius Knight Jr., and who else am I missing? It wasn't a great class in my opinion. Carson Schwarzenegger was at UCLA. I want to say it was on the West Coast. But anywho, he was a walk-on, and I think he ended up being a one-year starter, right? If I'm not mistaken. Then, yeah, he gets drafted. I think he was the first pick of the second round, and he balled. He balled. For a while, he was threatening to lead the league in tackles. He ended up finishing top 5 or maybe 5 or 6 in tackles, but he had a fantastic year. He really did. He was a big difference maker on that defense. 156 tackles, 2 interceptions, also added a sack and a half. He had one and a half sacks as well. This is a middle linebacker, right? Rookie middle linebacker. He was everywhere for that defense. He really was. And so fantastic year for him there. Now my comeback player of the year, it's Christian McCaffrey. C-Mac, y'all know what's going on. Let me tell you what my dog C-Mac did after missing all of last year with the leg injuries and things he was dealing with. 1,200 rushing yards, 10 touchdowns. Dig this. He had 100 catches. Christian McCaffrey, was this his age 30 season? This may have been his age 30 season, right? 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, 100 catches for 924 yards and another 7 touchdowns. Man, y'all stop playing with me, man. When y'all try to talk to me about C-Mac, man, look, man, y'all don't know enough about C-Mac, man. That man, he really, honestly, I mean, he's 75 yards from going 1,000 and 1,000. He's done it before. That's an elite group. It's been, 4 guys go 1,000 and 1,000? Roger Craig in the 80s with the Niners. I think he was the first. Marshall Faulk. Shout out to my dog Chop. Chop's still here. Marshall Faulk went 1,000 and 1,000 with the Rams. And then Christian McCaffrey. I think he did it with the I think he did it while he was with the Panthers with Cam. And then now, in his first year back from that injury, missing damn near all of last year, and I think this might be his age 30 season, maybe. And he's 75 receiving yards from going 1,000 and 1,000 for a second time. And I don't think anybody's ever done it twice. I don't think anybody's done it twice. Did Roger Craig do it twice? I don't think Roger Craig did it twice. He was the first guy, but I don't think he did it twice. That greatest show on turf, Marshall Faulk, and that Rams run, 99 and 2000, 2001, those years. I don't think Marshall did it twice, though. C-Mac was 75 yards from doing it twice. You know what I mean? Like, that's special, dog. That's special. And 17 total touchdowns. I think he was, he finished top 3 in the league in total touchdowns as well. Fantastic, bro. Chris McCaffrey's one of those guys for me, man. Chris McCaffrey's one of the ones, man. We got respect it. We got respect it, dog, for sure. And then Coach of the Year might have been the toughest category of all these for me. I think there were 5 coaches that had a legitimate argument, and I made all these arguments with myself and went back and forth. I end up settling on Kyle Shanahan, and I'm going to tell y'all why. Now, before I tell you why, I'm going to tell you who else I had in consideration. Mike McDonald, what he's done in Seattle, that defense, right? I sung their praises earlier, man. That's a true game-changing defense. And then also bringing in Sam Darnold, his first year in your building. Sam Darnold, who was reborn under Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings, right? But that didn't end well. Pissed down his leg the last, month of that season, and they really folded, had a chance to make a run in the playoffs, but the Vikings folded, thanks in no small part, honestly, to Sam Darnold. I said back then, Sam Darnold cost himself about $15 million in that offseason because of the way he finished that season with the Vikings. Comes over here, his first year in that building, they win 14 games, they're the number one seed in the NFC. Who's seen it coming? You know what I mean? And so Mike McDonald had a strong case. Mike Vrabel, I gave him consideration as well. It's his first year back at the crib in New England now. We know he cut his teeth there winning Super Bowls. It's his first year as a coach. But honestly, when I think about that team, and I love Vrabel. Matter of fact, if my dog Chop still in here, he can tell you. I was a huge Vrabel guy in Tennessee. I was pissed when they let him go. When he got fired for Tennessee, it was crazy. You know what I mean? So I have always thought very highly of Vrabel, but no, I'm not gonna lie, man. When MVP Drake May, I got to give him Vrabel. Of course, it plays a big part of that, but I gave him consideration. That team reaching where they were, they're supposed to be a bottom 5 team. They're the number 2 seed in the AFC, and they had a run at number 1. So I gave him consideration. Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson was the other one, man. The coach for Chicago came over from the Lions. What he's done to just bring out all the talent and potential that we'd all seen in Caleb Williams that was unharnessed, right? And then getting that Bears team is the number 2 seed in the NFC, man. Let that sink in. Ben Johnson. So I think he also had a damn strong case. And then, of course, Sean Payton, dog. What he did with those Broncos shot to Vegas, James. You know what I'm saying? Sean Payton was also in heavy consideration, too. Broncos are the number 1 seed in the league, man. You know what I mean? Like, Bo Nix and that offense, what they've done, like I said, they are kind of boom or bust is the only thing that I always kind of feel about those Broncos and that offense. It's kind of boom or bust, but that defense is stout. Shout out to my dog Chop, man. He was shouting out Vance Joseph, that defensive coordinator over there as well. But Sean Payton, man, being the number 1 seed in the AFC, that can't be discounted as well. I end up going Kyle Shanahan because he had more adversity than any of those guys I mentioned. Half his team's on IR. Half Kyle Shanahan's team is on IR, right? And then even his starting quarterback, which nobody respects but me, Brock Purdy, he gets hurt. So then Mac Jones has to come in. You know what they did with Mac Jones starting? They still won 4 of 6, 4 or 5, 4 of 6, something like that. Brock Purdy came back. The guy had to get his legs under him for the first 2 games. Brock Purdy turned up now. Brock Purdy got the rolling, you know what I'm saying, down the stretch a little bit there. They won 12 games with a defense that is as leaky as anybody's in the league. If we're going to be real about it, the one stud that they got on defense, Nick Bosa, he been gone all year. They don't have any receivers. Brandon Ayuk and Shanahan fell back out. He was coming back off injury anyway. I mean, that team has just been decimated, dog. Half the team is on IR. You know what they did? They won 12 games. They were 1 win away from being the number 1 seed in the NFC. Over the Rams, over the Seahawks, right? They were 1 game away from being the number 1 seed in the NFC. Kyle Shanahan, man, nobody had to deal with what he had to deal with and still produced at that level. I had to give it to him. I had to give it to him. And so Kyle Shanahan is where I went for my coach of the year. Then matter of fact, hold on, let me see. Oh, J2 Chill got some awards for me, man. Let me put you on the board. Let me go find it in the chat somewhere. Let me see what my dog J2 Trill got. MVP, Drizzy, man, you know what's going on. Offensive Player of the Year, JSN. I like that. I do. JSN was also, and I guess I didn't talk about the guys in consideration. I had considered JSN as well. What he did this year, man, was special. I think he was on the verge. Like, there was a time in which he was on pace to threaten Calvin Johnson's single season receiving record. They had a couple games in which his production dropped. Now, that's not on him, right? Because Sam Darnold had a couple stinkers, man. Sam Darnold in the third quarter of this season, he had a couple duds. He really did. He had a couple duds. And I think it also it just slowed down JSN, but he still turned in a fantastic year. I think he had roughly 120 catches. I think he was just shy of 1,800 yards. I think he had like 1,793, something like that, and he had 10 touchdowns. So I'm with you. JSN definitely got consideration, but then I think where JSN, his momentum kind of slowed or started to stall kind of the third and fourth quarter of the year, Bijan really turned up this third and fourth quarter of the year. And then also, bro, getting to 2,300 yards or just under, he almost had 23, just under 2,300 yards, right? Bro, that's elite company. You know what I mean? And he did it in a way, like the biggest difference for me between Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs has always been that Bijan doesn't necessarily have that gear that Jahmyr Gibbs does. Well, Bijan broke some. Bijan has a 93-yard touchdown run in this season, bro. You know what I mean? He got a 93-yarder. He's got a 70-yarder as well. You know what I mean? If you care about the speed trackings and all that stuff, they tracked him at over 20 miles an hour. I think he had 5 runs over 20 miles an hour this year. That's like top 5 or 6. I think the player with the most had like 7. Who was it? I'm trying to think now. Was it Devon Achane? Did Devon Achane have 7 runs clocked over 20 or 21? So anywho, and so he did a lot to show that he does have. He can flip the field, man. He can take 190. So I gotta respect it. You know what I mean? But I'm with you though. JSN had a fantastic year. Defensive player of the year, Garrett. I'm with you. Offensive rookie of the year, Tet. I'm with you on Tet, bro. I think with Tet's impact on Bryce Young and that Carolina Panthers offense and team, like I think it was special. I'm with you. I am. I went back and forth on Tet and Jackson Dart, and I end up going Jackson Dart because like that first month and a half of Jackson Dart that we got, especially when Cam Scatterbo was there, boy, it was electric. The Giants was must-see TV. When Cam Scatterbo and Jackson Dart were on the field together, the Giants were must-see TV. Didn't matter if they won or lost, they were must-see TV, big dog. You know what I mean? And that's a big accomplishment. You know what I mean? Jackson Dart and those Giants took my dog Vegas James and his Broncos, boy, they took them to overtime in Denver. And it was a couple shady calls in that game as well. And matter of fact, I think that's the game that Cam Scatterbo injured that ankle and went to IR, so he didn't even finish that game. But Jackson Dart duked it out in Denver against that Denver defense, against Sean Payton and Bo Nix in that offense, and they went to overtime to beat Jackson Dart and the Giants. You know what I mean? So that the peak of Jackson Dart, I think, was one of the more electric points of this season. Like that peak of Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo was like a highlight of the year. Tet was solid all the way throughout, but his peak didn't necessarily hit or impact us the way that I feel like Jackson Dart and that Giants run when the two crash outs, man. You know what I'm saying? The two crash outs with Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo was running, man. They was on the verge of not taking over the league win-loss wise, but like I said, man, the Giants turned into must-see TV. Not that they were any better or we expected them to win, but that they were must-see TV. You just had to see what they was going to do, how they were going to play. So I went Jackson Dart there. But I respect that Tet play. I'm telling you, I went back and forth for sure. Defensive rookie of the year, Carson. Yeah, hey, Carson switched the ball, bro. I ain't going to hold you. He was a force. Like he definitely left a mark for sure. And then coach of the year, ooh, Jim Harbaugh. That's a good pull, dog. That's a good pull. Because Harbaugh dealt with a lot of the stuff that I said about Shanahan. Jim Harbaugh also dealt with the Chargers. And actually, when I was talking about Justin Herbert, I kind of talked about some of the things that Harbaugh's been dealing, or that him and Harbaugh had to deal with as far as injuries to their team as well. That's a strong pull. That's a strong pull as well. I'm not mad at that. Man. And you know what? Damn, I ain't gonna hold you, bro. Man, I forgot about Harbaugh as well. I really did. The top 5 I was thinking about was McDonald, Vrabel, Shanahan, Ben Johnson, and Sean Payton. Jim Harbaugh definitely should have been in that consideration. I missed. I tripped. I ain't gonna hold you. I tripped, bro. I did. That's valid. For all the reasons I said about Kyle Shanahan, that's valid, bro. That's valid. Ooh, I got to think about it now. Harbaugh or Shanahan? Ooh. You put me in a pickle. I think Harbaugh has the better defense, and he's got the better quarterback. I'll still lean Shanahan because Harbaugh, all the injuries that they dealt with are on the offensive side, whereas Shanahan had traumatic injuries to both sides of the ball, though. They lost Fred Warner, the best inside linebacker in football. Remember, he went out in the first month of the year. He's been gone all year. So they lost they lost 2 all-pro defenders. Like, they were both missing all year. Fred Warner is the best stack backer in football. Nick Bosa, when he's healthy, he's a top 5 edge rusher in football. Both of them gone. You see what I'm saying? It's like, that's massive, dog. That's massive. And then he also had the injuries on the offensive side of the ball. And then even when guys aren't injured, that receiver room is just not dynamic. Jawan Jennings was one of the leading receivers. You know, that offense went through, that's another reason why Chris McCaffrey had 100 catches this year, because they didn't have a lot to work with on the outside. Jawan Jennings, it's his second year, Ricky Pearsall, Brandon Ayuk got the beefing with Shanahan again, cost himself $30 million. And then who was the third receiver on that offense? I mean, you still had Kittle. I think Kittle also was a little beat up this year, like always. Trent Williams was beat up. He's getting older, but he was beat up as well a little bit. I can't even think of the Niners' third receiver, bro. Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, because next I want to say George Kittle and C-Mac. But who was the actual third? I can't even think of the third receiver they had there. So I'll still give the edge to Shanahan, but Jim Harbaugh, that's valid. That's a valid pool. I respect it. If they get a decent coach plus a healthy neighbors and Scatterbo, that offense is going to be electric. No, I'm with you because they do have pieces there. And then I was talking about them earlier. They've got pieces on that defense. Like that defense in the right hands can be special. Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, assuming he progresses and reaches his talent level, his potential. And then you still had Thibodeau there. Now, I don't necessarily expect Thibodeau to be back this coming year. I know a lot of people expect him to be traded probably at the deadline or something like that, but I definitely expect that they'll probably move on for him to just clear that runway and let Abdul Carter slide into that role full-time across from Brian Burns. So I imagine they get Thibodeau out of there. But no, they got some other pieces as well, man. They got a corner there that's actually pretty solid. Man, damn, now I can't think of his name. I think he came out of Kentucky, I want to say. I wasn't big on him in the draft when he was coming out. Andrew Phillips, I want to say. Andrew Phillips is a solid little slot corner they got on that defense as well. So they've got some pieces there on that team. And then, like you said, Neighbors and Scatterbo. Now, I don't think Scatterbo is going to be a guy that you just run the offense through. They still need a dynamic back to pair with Scatterbo. You know what I mean? But no, I think they've got potential there. They definitely do. I'm with you. Yeah, hey, Wan'Dale Robinson was a very pleasant surprise. I think he's going to be a free agent, though, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's going to be a free agent, though. But I'm with you, though, man. That Giants job, it really does. There's a lot of bright spots on that Giants roster for sure. I'm with you. Like, there's something to look forward to as well. Now, Jackson Dart may not be every coach's cup of tea because he's reckless. And you know what? Now that I just said that, it makes you think about Harbaugh because Harbaugh was a little reckless with Lamar as well. You know what I mean? And so, but nah, that's a good pull, though. That's a good pull. That Giants job is, I don't necessarily think the Mara family, the way they run the organization, I don't necessarily think it's as cracked up as it's, like, I don't think that organization is as, cracked up as it's made out to be. Like, it's an old family, it's an old name, that's an old blue blood organization. I don't like how they ran. I see how they handled Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. It tells me all I need to know about them. You gave Daniel Jones $40 million and told Saquon to go find a job. You know what I mean? That's the mirrors. And then also the way they handled the coaching search with Dayball and Flores. And, you know, I'm not necessarily, I don't necessarily like all that, man. That's that, you know, I don't know. I don't necessarily, it's not necessarily my cup of tea. Oh, man, I was going to say we got to get out of here, and we do, because we overtime, bro. It's 9 o'clock. Real quick, we got football on Saturday, man. We got Wildcard Weekend kicking off Saturday. I'm going to go through these real quick. Carolina, the 4-5 matchup. Carolina hosting the Rams. I got the Rams getting their get back, man, getting their revenge and winning this one in Carolina. I'm going 28-20 Rams to get that dub on the road and make it to the divisional round. And then in the Saturday night game, we've got the 7-seed Packers on the road against the 2-seed Bears. I'm going Bears, man. I'm going Bears 23-20. Kind of like I was talking about earlier with my boy Derpy. It feels like the Packers peaked a little soon, and then now they've kind of regressed as we got into the fourth quarter of the season. Injuries started piling up. Jordan Love with the concussion. Malik Willis, who's been a godsend for them in his stead, right? He made himself a lot of money this offseason, boy, coming up. He finna get cashed out. But, he's been nicked up on an injury report as well. Josh Jacobs, man, had to limp to the end of the season. Micah's out. You know what I mean? And so I just think they ran out of steam, man. I really do. I'm going, and then also, like I said, Bears have been one of the spark plugs of this season, and they are at home. They're excited. They're fired up. They got all that new young energy, right? It's a young team. Caleb Williams, Colston Loveland, Luther Burden, right? I don't think any of those guys are 25. I don't think any of those guys are 23. You know what I mean? And so they've got an excited young core of players eager to show and prove themselves. They got a first-year head coach in Ben Johnson as well, looking to cut his teeth. He called his shot, man. He called out Matt LaFleur in his welcoming conference when he first got that job in Buffalo. He called out spanking the Packers and Matt LaFleur twice a year in his welcoming conference, or in his welcoming press conference. You know what I'm saying? So they're gonna be, sometimes we, just young and don't know no better. They might just go. I think they're primed to. I think they go out there and get this done. And I think it's a good matchup for them as well, because these young players and a young first-time coach and your first playoff spot, big moment, but it's against a very familiar opponent as well. I think that also bodes well for them. And the fact that the Packers are, like I said, kind of on the downturn at this point in the season. And so I think it might be, they might have missed their chance, man, unfortunately, just the way the season played out. But there you have it. That's it. That's all. We ran long tonight. I apologize for that. I know it's a school night. I know you got to get the wife and kids in bed, man. I know you got to get yourself rested so you can get up in the morning and work on paying them bills, man. So I feel y'all. I appreciate y'all for thugging it out with me. But before we go, y'all know what time it is. It's time for that real member roll call, man. First one in the door today, my dog Keandre, man. Cat mother shit in the building. I appreciate you, big dog, as always. Mom Dukes is in the building as well. Said, good evening, Big Nation. Matter of fact, she didn't tell me to have a blessed show. That woman that told me have a blessed show 2 years. And now all of a sudden she didn't tell me have a blessed show as always. I'm letting it slide. I appreciate you. My dog J2 Trill, man, rocking out, man. He even made it the long way, man. We after 9 o'clock and my dog still in this thing getting active, man. I appreciate you, big dog. Hey, I told you, I got one with your name on it, man. You know what I mean? Get with a winning team, big dog. You know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie. Hey, man, it's room. It's room, big dog. It's room on the back of the bus. You know what I'm saying? You could be a winner. Go ahead, man. You look good in black and gold. I got one for you, big dog. I got one for you. Reedy was in the building as well. I appreciate you as always, lady. Let me see what's in this thing. I'm looking for you. We late. My dog, Terrible Time Walker, holding it down for them Houston Texans. He was in the building as well, boy. I can't wait. We gonna put all hands and feet on y'all on Monday night, big dog. Let's go. Let me see who else is in this thing. I'm looking for you. I'm looking for you. Hold on, man. I'm trying to find your sisters in the building as well. I appreciate you as always. You know what time it is. Come on now. Let me see who else is in this thing. I know my dog. Here we go. JP was in the building for sure. I appreciate your homeboy. Let me see. Hey, shout out to my dog, Derpy. Hey, Derpy now, Shout out to Derpy. Derpy had some interesting nuggets for us today, man. I'm not gonna lie. Derpy had some interesting nuggets for us today, dog. He really did, man. Shout out to my dog, Derpy. He know what's going on Monday night. You know what's going on, big dog. I appreciate you. Let me see. My dog, Chop in the building for sure, man. Appreciate your homeboy. Let's go. Vegas James is in the building as well, man. His Broncos got the week off. You know what I'm saying? They got the week off of that #1 seed. So he just chilling. He ain't got to do nothing but just sit back and relax and watch and see what happens. Shout out to my dog DV in the building, man, holding it down. You know what time it is, Big Nation business in the building, man. You know what's going on. I appreciate you. Let me see. I'm looking for y'all. I'm trying to find you. I know I'm missing somebody, and I feel bad about it. I'm looking for you, dog. Damn. Say the same thing every week. So feel free to say it with me at home. If I forgot to say your name, damn, for real, my bad. But charge it to my head and don't charge it to my heart. You know I'm thinking about you, big dog. Appreciate all the love and support as always, man. I had a lot of fun tonight for sure. Man, I hope y'all did too. Cannot wait for these playoffs to start, man. My boys, we made it Monday night under the lights in my building, man. I can't wait to see it, man. Good luck to you and your team, unless your team is playing my team. Y'all know how that goes. But other than that, man, have fun, be safe, tap in with your dog, man. Sunday, we will be right back, man. Same scheduling, man. We still gonna be here Sunday, man, for the playoff preview. We'll get to recap the games from Saturday, the 2 games on Saturday we just talked about in the NFC Wildcard. We'll recap those. We'll go over the remaining, I think, 3 games. There's 2 Sunday, 3 Sunday, and then 1 on Monday. So we'll get to recap those as well. I'm not sure when they announced the awards, the season awards. I don't think they announce it until after Wildcard Week, if I'm not mistaken. But if that news does drop as well, then of course y'all know we're going to rock out and go over that as well. Man, other than that, I think that's it. That's all, man. Y'all know what time it is. Have fun. Be safe. I appreciate you. Until Sunday, 10 o'clock. Y'all have a good night. Peace.